Hello. Oh wow, is that lighting okay? I've literally just got to the studio, so hopefully everything's set up. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Happy Friday. Yes, it's Friday again. It's not Thursday. I know I said 2 weeks ago that these would be on Thursdays, and now they've been on Fridays. Who cares? Let's just do it at some point each week. That's the main thing. As long as these live streams happen, that's what matters. Although I know it's nice to have a bit of predictability, so I'll work on that. Anyway, hope you're well. Thank you for joining me live if you are now. As always, we'll have questions and answers towards the end of this live stream. So if you want to pop any questions that you've got into the comments, chat window, whatever it is, stick them in there. If you're watching this in the future, thank you for watching this. I always look forward to this live stream because it's the end of the week, as it is now, and it's just nice to offload a bit and just talk about what's happened and all that sort of stuff, and take your questions. And very quick bit of housekeeping. If you haven't checked out the Substack newsletter yet, please do. There's a link down below. Every Friday morning, although it happened, I've just sent it out, but normally it's Friday morning. I send out it's like a written version of this live stream, really, where I talk about various things from behind the scenes, and people seem to like it. You can unsubscribe whenever you want, and it's free, so go and check it out. This is going to be possibly a bit of a waffly ramble today, but hopefully an interesting one, because it's been a really crazy week. I mean, it's always a crazy week. It's always if you work in this game, in content creation, and particularly I think in tech, in the tech niche, every week is a bit weird, a bit surreal, in the best possible way, but a bit strange, a bit surreal, and you get to do things and interact with people and interact with things that you just don't do in normal jobs. I've had normal jobs. I've done normal jobs for a long time. I've worked in businesses that I didn't really want to work in. I've worked in industries that I had no experience in and didn't really have much of a love for. I've been stuck in the whole corporate thing before. I've done lots of stuff in my 43 years on this planet. And so I know what that side of it's like. And I also know that I've left on my air conditioning unit, which is very noisy. Apologies. There we go. But yeah, I've come from a place that a lot of people occupy, and coming into this world, it's just at times really bizarre. And I've had one of those weeks that has been really bizarre, and there's been some real kind of pinch me moments that I haven't really properly digested yet. I think once I've stopped this weekend and have a bit of time to chill out and reflect on the week that's just been, hopefully I'll kind of reflect on it and take it in a bit, because I think I've spoken about this before on this live stream, that it's very hard to take in the opportunities that I've been given with this career, which I don't take for granted at all. But when they happen, like anything in life, when things happen and you're in the midst of them, it's hard to sit back and take them all in, because you're doing stuff, you're busy. In my case, you're filming things, you're talking to people, you're networking, doing all that sort of stuff, and yeah, taking in those moments is quite tricky. So let me explain what's happened this week, and then we'll talk about it. So where are we? I'm trying to work out what days or what. Monday, I headed down to Weybridge. Now, you've probably never heard of Weybridge unless you're from the UK. I'd never been there before. I'll be honest, it's a fairly unremarkable place. I can say that because I'm from Northampton, which is also a very unremarkable place. But in Weybridge is LG. That's where LG's UK headquarters is. And they'd invited me there to check out their 2024 TV lineup. I don't know why I'm holding this ND filter, apologies. And it's the first time that I've been invited by LG to anything, so I won't bore you with the way that it came about, but basically I found out who was the PR contact for LG, got in touch with him before Christmas, and he was a very nice guy who said, yes, we'd love to work with you, we'll be in touch soon. And they were, and like I say, they invited me to their 2024 TV lineup press thing at their UK head office. And this really consists of going there and being amongst a whole bunch of other press people, a couple of YouTubers, and being presented by LG with these new TVs. And they talk, you have a presentation, they talk about them, they give you basically the spiel on what these new TVs are all about. And then you get hands-on time with it. So you get time to have a look at the TVs, you get time to film them, do what you need to, basically. and then you kind of like you're done and away you go. That was great because again, I haven't worked with LG before. LG has been on my hit list for a while in terms of brands that I want to cover on the channel on Mark Ellis Reviews. So that was a big opportunity. And in terms of the people that I met there, apart from the people from LG, all press guys who have been in this industry a lot longer than me, and I'm starting to get to know them. I'm seeing them at different events, and to the point where I can recognise them, they recognise me, and we can shake hands and discuss what happened at the last thing that we were at. So it's a lovely group to be a part of, but I'm very conscious that I'm fairly new to this. You know, I'm this guy that's rocked up out of nowhere and starts doing the same thing that they're doing. So anyway, that was Monday. I then stopped over in a place called Addlestone that evening, which again, fairly unremarkable. I'm sorry if you're from either of these places, by the way. I'm not being disparaging about them. They just weren't that exciting. So there's nothing to tell about where I was staying basically. But stayed there for the evening, and the reason I stayed there is because the next day I was going to London, and it just made sense to stay down there rather than coming back and going back down to London. So, because contrary to popular belief, I don't live in London. I get asked this quite a lot. In fact, I don't even live that near London. I live in Warwickshire, which is an hour and a half from London on the train. So it made sense to stay over. The reason that I was going to London the next day was because I was going to Apple. I'd been invited by Apple to their UK headquarters at Battersea Power Station. Now, if you've never been there before, firstly, if you're a Pink Floyd fan, you know Battersea Power Station because it was on the cover of the Animals LP, with the pig flying between the two chimney things. It's been completely redeveloped. It was derelict for years, but they've redeveloped it into a shopping centre, loads of commercial spaces, and there's loads of apartments and things that are built around. It's a really impressive place now, and the power station itself is it's amazing. If you like architecture and you find that stuff interesting, which I do, it's an amazing place to visit anyway. But within Battersea Power Station, and you'd never know this unless you were told, it's where Apple resides. So it's where their UK headquarters is. I think they moved there last year. Don't hold me to that, but I'm fairly sure 2023 is when they moved in officially. Tim Cook went there and all the rest of it. But it's where they're based, and like I say, you'd never know. So as you walk in, there's a bunch of like restaurants and stuff, a Starbucks and what have you. And at the back of this particular part of the route of the power station, there's these great big glass doors, and you can see elevators going up and down. There's a row of iMacs, which is the only indication that there's something there to do with Apple. But you wouldn't, even that, it doesn't indicate that it's definitely them. It could be anything. But it's a reception area, basically, with a couple of people behind the iMacs typing away and doing stuff, and a few people milling around, some security. There's a few hints that something's going on there, but yeah, some security, some barrier things that you have to go through with cards and stuff. But that is Apple's HQ. And I've been there before. I went there back in October or November last year, and the reason for that visit was because they invited me to check out the M3 iMac and the M3 MacBook Pro, but that was after the launch, so they invited me there for a briefing after people had received theirs. I'd bought one. I had the M3 MacBook Pro in my possession at home, but they invited me, and I'm not. This isn't a complaint at all. It was amazing to be invited there, but it was after the event, if you like. So that was interesting. So I was aware of this place, and I've got two good contacts at Apple now who very very lovely, and keep in touch quite regularly. But this visit was very different because it was all about. I can show you this now because the embargo's lifted. It was all about this, which is the M3 MacBook Air. This is the M3 MacBook Air. I know it looks like my M2 MacBook Air. If you follow my journey with this stuff, you'll know that I have a Starlight 15-inch M2 MacBook Air. I promise this is the M3 version. It was all about that, basically, and they invited me under embargo. So I signed lots of very scary contracts and stuff. To kind of say that to basically confirm that I wouldn't say anything. But I was invited there to firstly get a look at this laptop at Apple's HQ, but also get to see some creators, some professional creators who have been using the MacBook Air in their business. And Also, the other part of this was getting this. So this is a review unit. This has been sent to me by Apple on a loan, and again, I signed an embargo for this. I couldn't talk about it or show it until yesterday at 2 o'clock, so that the review's gone out. But yeah, they invited me there, and I'd been, like I said, I'd been there before, so I knew what the kind of demo room looked like. And it's an amazing place inside. You can't take any photos, obviously, because it's Apple. But if you imagine, the spaceship campus in Cupertino, it's a bit like that. It's not circular, but the interior of this place looks a bit like that from what I've seen. It just feels very Apple-like. So it's very impressive, very kind of, lots of security everywhere and all the rest of it. But I'd been there before, so that was again great to be there. But equally, I kind of experienced it before. What was the first thing that was very interesting was the fact that I was there with another group, obviously. And this group included two or three guys from various tech publications, so Stuff Magazine, Tech Radar, and another one which I can't remember, unfortunately. But the other person that was there was the tech chap, Tom. Now, I keep bumping into him, kind of, or being in the same room as him quite a lot at the moment, because at CES, at IFA last year, MWC recently. There's been a couple of brand events that I've been to, and he's been there. And I've shaken his hand a couple of times, but we've never spoken because it just hasn't really worked out that way. And I'm not the sort of person who will just go up to people like him and just say, "Hello, can we have a chat?" I just don't do that. I'm too British. But this time it was completely unavoidable because there were only 5 of us. There's me, these other guys from the press, and Tom. So I actually got to talk to him a little bit and interact with him. That was interesting, and it turned out that he hadn't been to this Apple HQ. He'd been to the one previously where they used to be based in London, which I'd never seen, but he'd never been to this, and I had, which was weird. But anyway, so we went up there in our little group, went into this demo room. We were given like a tour of the M3 MacBook Air by Apple, and then they showed us into these little rooms, rooms off of the big room that we were in, and they'd kind of built these little sets for these creators to talk about how they use the MacBook Air. And there was a screenwriter in there. There was a TikTok creator in another one, who was also a student. There was a custom bike manufacturer in one of the other rooms, and then there was Tom from Byte Review. Now, if you've never heard of Tom and Byte Review, go and check him out. He's a brilliant tech reviewer. He's got a very unique look. His very distinctive channel, and they'd basically made his studio in this room. So we walked into this room, and he was sitting there with what looked, and I've watched quite a lot of his videos, what looked exactly like his studio. Incredible. That was it, and we had about an hour there. Basically, got to film some footage as well, and went home. And there was a moment during that time in that room where I spotted that tech chap Tom was trying to film the M3 MacBook Air. And he was trying to get some footage of a game that was being played on it, but no one was playing the game, so it wasn't really doing anything. So I said to him, "Look, do you want me to play the game and then you can film it?" So he said, "Oh, fantastic, great." Did that, and then after that, he said, "Do you want me to film you doing the same thing?" I was like, "Okay, fair enough." Gave him my camera, and he went around the side and filmed me playing around with this M3 MacBook Air. And there was this only lasted for about 10 seconds, but there was this moment where I was standing there, basically standing there with this MacBook, tapping away, and tech chap Tom was filming me, and I'm thinking, how did this happen? What on earth is going on? I really admire that guy. I've watched him for a long time, way before I started on YouTube myself. He's very, very, very good at what he does. He's got 1.4 million subscribers. He's huge. And here he was filming me, just to do me a favour, basically, returning the favour. Because you do, on these press trips, you all muck in. Because quite often you're there on your own, and it's a lot of work. You need to film stuff. It's all a bit it's all a bit of a rush. You know you haven't got much time to do things, and you've got to think about getting the right angles and getting the right stuff, and not leaving with not enough footage and all that sort of thing. So you do tend to muck in a bit and help each other. But having him help me, and it was just, this may not make sense, but if you can imagine someone who you've followed, let's say on YouTube for a long time, many years, who you admire, and then suddenly you get to meet them, and you're kind of working side by side with them, and they're helping you out. It's a very surreal moment, really surreal. He won't watch these live streams at all, but if you ever saw this, thanks, Tom. You made that day a lot easier. And hopefully I did for you as well. Hopefully I returned the favour. But it was just a very surreal moment. And I think also the fact that I was in such a small group. We had these big tech publications, a very big, probably one of the most recognised UK tech influencers / I shouldn't use that word, that's a terrible word, sorry, hopefully he's not watching this, tech reviewers in the UK, and these big publications, and then me, little old me. Really strange, and yeah, and to be honest, I'm proud of that. Again, I mentioned this on the Marcellus Reviews newsletter a couple of days ago, that British people, certainly someone like myself, we're not very good at congratulating ourselves. We don't tend to blow our own trumpets that often, but I will with this, because that has taken me a lot of hard work to get there. And it was just one of those moments where I thought, okay, something's working. Something here is working. Anyway, that was Tuesday. Wednesday, I actually had a day in the studio, which was nice. And then yesterday, Thursday, I headed down to the Cotswolds, or across to the Cotswolds, with Niall, my general manager, and we spent the day with BMW, and that was testing the new iX2 and the Mini Countryman. So it was another press day, and a very big brand. Again, very big brand. The first time I've worked with BMW, I haven't done anything with them previously, but we've managed to get a very good contact there through various means, and they are lovely people, and lots of access and all that sort of stuff, and the likelihood is that relationship will continue, so that we can still get access to these cars, EVs, etc., which is it's a bit of a diversion from what we do in terms of reviewing this kind of thing, but there is a crossover these days with cars, EVs, electric vehicles, and tech, and the stuff that I've tested with this previously with Porsche and BYD has done pretty well, actually, so that I know there's something there. So yeah, again, more pinch me moments. We're working with BMW all of a sudden, LG, Apple, and BMW in 1 week. The only thing I would say is that it would have been nice if things were spread out a little bit, because it's a lot to do in 1 week. It's a lot of time away from the studio, time away from the family, obviously, as well. I'd love if I had any control over this stuff, which I don't. It would have been lovely to have that stuff spread out. But that's the way it comes, and trust me, I'm not gonna miss these opportunities at all. The other thing I wanted to mention briefly is that if I was listening to someone like myself talk about this, I'd be sitting there thinking, "Oh, that's amazing, great opportunities, lovely." But you are getting wined and dined a lot. You're getting taken to these lovely places, and they're kind of impressing you with their stuff. They're feeding you lovely pastries, and in the case of BMW, hand-carved ham, and they had couscous actually, which was really nice. That's how impressive this event was. They made couscous taste nice. I'd be thinking, okay, does that kind of reduce your your ability to offer genuine, honest reviews if you're being fed and watered and looked after and impressed by these brands, which is a completely fair concern, and I do hear it a lot on the channel, and I think I'd be thinking the same thing on the other side of the fence. The only thing I can say about that is that I think anyone in my shoes would be doing the same thing as me, which would be taking these opportunities, and you do have to take them. I'm not going to say Apple's I can't do Tuesday, sorry. I haven't got space for a loan MacBook Air under embargo. Don't worry about me. Just give it to someone. I'm going to do it. If LG invite me somewhere, I'm going to do it. If Honor want to take me to Berlin for IFA, I'm going to do it. The challenge with this, and I know that a lot of you want to follow in my footsteps, or you want to do this sort of stuff yourself. Hopefully you'll get, if you want to do this kind of thing, hopefully you will get to this stage where you're being invited by Apple, you're being invited by LG and all these brands to do this stuff. You'll encounter this very tricky tightrope which is balancing that partnership, that relationship with those brands. Partnership's probably the wrong word, but you know what I mean. That relationship with the brand, which means that one, you get to go to these events and meet those people, and two, you get early access to products, which is absolutely essential. It's called seeding, so product seeding. If you're on that list, you get the product beforehand. So I'm on the seeding list, it seems, for the Mac now, certainly for the MacBook Air, which means I got this before you could buy it in the shops. It's essential if you want to be successful in tech YouTube. You need early access to stuff, because the earlier you can get stuff in front of the audience, the bigger the audience, and that has been proven this week by this video. So this video went up yesterday, 15 minutes after the embargo, just in case, and like I said, this was basically a day ago, just over a day ago, and to date it has done 33,000 views. It's a 1 out of 10 by nearly 15,000 views compared to the previous high performing video at this point. So it has absolutely flown off the charts. Loads of engagement, loads of everything, brilliant. So that if I'd reviewed this a week later and had to wait for the delivery, it probably wouldn't have done that. I'm fairly confident in saying that. But anyway, regardless, getting stuff early is really important. But to get that stuff early and to be on the seeding list and to go to the events, you have to make sure the brand likes you, because why on earth would they invite you otherwise? Now, there's an important distinction here, which is the brand needs to like you because you're just being yourself. Now, I go to these. I've done a lot of this stuff outside of this industry, so I can do the networking thing. I can stand in a room with people and talk to them, and talk about the business and ask them questions, show a lot of interest in what they do, and that's what warms people to you. We're all capable of this. If you can do that, in my experience, most brands will keep in touch with you. If you're just a nice bloke, they'll keep in touch with you. So that's all you've got to do, really. And when it comes to the reviews, you have to be honest, and that's where this tightrope is, because again, I'm getting more experienced at this, so I know what's going on. I know why they give you posh food and put you in nice hotels and all that sort of stuff. They want to impress you, because they want that to stick in your mind when you're reviewing stuff. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that they're trying to influence what you're saying, but they do this for a reason. It's PR. It's been done for many decades. But as a reviewer, you have to remain impartial. You have to give your honest opinion, and I think I'm treading that wire in the right way. A great example of this is the MacBook Air. In my video for this, I basically tell anyone who's got the M1 or the M2 MacBook Air not to buy one of these. Now, if Apple had their way, they'd be saying to me, they don't do this, by the way, but they'd be hoping that I might say, just buy it. Whatever Mac you've got, whether you've got an Intel Mac or an M1 or an M2, whatever it is, you need to get this. It's amazing. No, because that isn't the case. If you've got an M1 or an M2 MacBook Air, you probably don't need this. So I will still say that publicly. It just so happens I love this laptop. It is genuinely brilliant. For instance, the Mini Countryman that I drove yesterday, the user interface on the in-car entertainment thing was really confusing, sluggish, and it wasn't great at all. I'm saying this publicly now. This BMW could watch this. They might hear that I'm talking about it. It doesn't matter. This is my honest opinion on this. I did talk briefly to them about this yesterday. I said, look, we love getting invited to these things, but we will always be honest about the stuff that we try. And they said, well, we hope so. We want you to be, because it's feedback for us. You don't always hear that from a lot of brands. Some brands will not say to you, we want you to be ultra honest and tell us what's rubbish about this product. And BMW didn't quite say that, but what they did say was, we treat reviews as feedback, which is so refreshing, so good to hear, because it's my job to basically either pull things apart or praise them when they've got it right, or point out things that could be improved. So that's the tightrope that you have to walk, and I think it's worth mentioning that, because as amazing as this week has been, it isn't a case of just freeloading off brands and getting access to products and driving new cars around. I'm running a business, and I have to make this stuff work for my business, so that all those things that I do have to be profitable. But equally, my main duty as a tech reviewer is to my audience, is to make sure that I'm offering honest reviews, and that's what I'm doing. So, but it's a very difficult tightrope to walk. I can see why people perhaps I don't know if this is fair or not, but people who are maybe a little bit less experienced in life and business may get this wrong and get drawn into it, sucked into that world, and not be as honest as they should be. I don't know. I've got no examples of that. I can see how that might happen. I've been around a bit, thankfully. I've been in business a long time, and lots of things have happened in my life, some not great at all, that have really kind of made me the person that I am. So hopefully, I think that helps. I think all that stuff has helped. Fingers crossed. Anyway, enough waffle from me. Let me have a drink and say hello to everyone. Excuse me. More people joining today, which is nice. We didn't have that many on last Friday, but it's nice to have you all here, guys. Lots of messages from David. Hi, David. Hope the Beamer is okay. Oh, and yeah, I assume you're referring to my M2. Completely off topic, but people seem to have taken interest in this. So my M2, which is a BMW M2 2018 model, love it to death, had to go in to have its differential replaced, and it's only done 11,000 miles, which is basically brand new. Thankfully, BMW have paid for the part. I'm covering the cost of the labour, but it's still a much lower bill than it would have been by a lot. It's there at the minute, actually. It's been done. I can't get it until Monday because I've got loads of stuff going on, but it's been done and I can go and pick it up on Monday. And then I have to decide what to do with it. Am I going to keep it? Am I going to get something different? I don't know. Answers on a postcard with that. I'm not sure what to do with it now, but yeah. It's fine, I think. I haven't got it back yet, but they've done the repair, so that's the main thing. Weybridge is not too far from Thorpe Park. Have I been to Thorpe Park? I don't think I have, actually. I didn't know it was that close to it, though, to be honest. Helen Skelton, let me put these on the screen. Helen Skelton did a tightrope walk between two of the chimneys on a Blue Peter show. Brave girl. Yeah, so you're talking about, obviously, Battersea Power Station. Honestly, it's an amazing place. Having said that, I'm saying it's amazing. I'm a bit of a geek, and I do like these kind of things. Once I really got into the whole abandoned buildings thing. You get a lot of I've never done it myself, because I'm not brave enough, but you do get these urban explorers who go into disused cinemas and stuff, and I find that stuff fascinating. This obviously isn't like that, but although it was derelict for a long time at the power station, but what they've done to it is amazing, and they've left stuff in place. So they've left certain bits of the machinery there, and the control room, which I think it's debatable if it was actually the original control room, that's there as a bar now. But yeah, if you're ever in that area of London, it's a little bit out the way. It's kind of, you have to go south of the river, and it's not amongst all the tourist attractions, but it's worth jumping on a tube. It's not that far on the tube from the centre. Go and check it out. It's an amazing place. You can do a bit of shopping while you're there. There is an Apple store there. But apart from the Apple HQ, don't go in there because you won't be let in. There is a proper Apple store downstairs which you can go into. So it's definitely worth visiting. So David, you review new Apple products at the Apple Store in Bristol. They do training sessions at the same place. That is how I learnt Apple OS ecosystem some time ago. Okay, so do you review them in the store? Do they let you do that, David? That's interesting. It's a very enterprising way of doing it. I like it. Yeah, they do training sessions, don't they? I'm aware of that. I follow iJustine and in the States and Patrick Rambles in the Netherlands. Patrick will be delighted to be named in the same sentence as iJustine, I'm sure. She's quite a bit. Patrick won't mind me saying this, but she's got a slightly bigger channel than both of us and has been in this game a lot longer. But yeah, all good stuff. Hi, John. This is a new name, I think, John. If you've been here before, apologies, but I've not spotted you before. Could you possibly do me a favour? Here we go. I have LG products, including OLED TVs. My issue is, and hopefully you can ask someone of your contacts, why will they not send products to Northern Ireland? I don't know, John. They probably won't tell. Well, I could ask them, I suppose, couldn't I? Maybe if I get a chance, I'll ask them. More BMW stuff. My partner drives a BMW. Where did you go? I bought my BMW M140i from Dick Lovett in Bristol. Where did I go? I bought it. It was bought in Warwick. No, in fact, no, it was bought in Coventry. I'm going to stop talking about BMW M2s now because it might turn people off. But David, one day perhaps we'll have a chat about this. It sounds like you're a bit of BMW man. Hi, Paul. Paul Rankin is here in the house. Here we go. Get a BMW M8 competition. I wish I had the budget for that, David. Hey Mark, I'm fairly young male, 25, and do adult nursing. I want to ask, how is Leamington Spa? Is it really small? Oh, I love these questions today. It's definitely Friday, isn't it? Hit me with as many weird questions as you like today, guys. Why not? Let's do it. Is Leamington Spa really small? It depends what you're comparing it to. So I'm from Northampton originally, and it's smaller. Is it smaller? Yeah, it is a bit smaller than Northampton, but it's... No, it's not. What am I talking about? It's about the same size. Who cares? It's not really small, depending on what you're comparing it to. If you're comparing it to a US city, it's very small, but it's a mid-sized town, I think. Yeah, I hope that helps. Oh, you have been on foot before, John. Fair enough. David, I took my first girlfriend to Battersea Park when it had a fun fair. It had a fun fair there. Wow. Well, that's definitely not there anymore. I don't know where that was, but that's definitely gone. That's completely disappeared. I love these questions. What else have you got for me? Hit me with something. It's Friday. You can ask me anything you like. Has today's chat raised any questions? Because it's quite a big topic, this. It's quite a contentious topic, really, this whole brand relationship thing. Until now, obviously, I'd always viewed it from the outside and thought, how do people do that? You know, what all these people that go to these events with brands, what happens behind the scenes? I know now. It's just a fascinating thing. Lexington is tiny. Mark's the only... Where's Lexington? Was that autocorrect? Leamington. I was thinking, where's Lexington? Mark's the only person there. Yeah, but maybe. It's a lovely place, Leamington. It's really nice. Very expensive, but it's very nice. Vincent. Hey Mark, I've noticed in videos you say it's not sponsored, but there's a partner. What is the difference? Okay, this is a really, really good question, Vincent. So, sponsored is basically when I've been paid by a brand to mention their product. That's in two forms. Either an integration, which is when 2 minutes in I say, quick word from today's sponsor, Paperlike. Not sponsoring this, by the way, but if that was the case, I'd say that and then waffle on about Paperlike for a couple of minutes. That's an integration. The other type of sponsorship is a dedicated sponsor, and they basically pay for access to the entire video. So it's it could be an overview of a pair of headphones or something, and they've paid for the entire video, so they have coverage for the entire video. So that's a sponsor. If I ever say I've got some partners who support the channel, it's because the partner that I mentioned, I do this most regularly with Brain FM, and again, not sponsoring. None of these brands are sponsoring this video, by the way. Brain FM and Gadgia, the coffee guys, and also Hinomi, the chair that's just over there. If I say this video isn't sponsored, but I have some lovely partners who support this channel. The reason for doing that is because I, for whatever reason, I haven't secured a sponsor for that video, but I still want to monetize it and make it as profitable as possible. So I pick these brands with whom I have affiliate relationships with. So if we take Hinomi as the example, I'll mention Hinomi and say, there's a link in the description. Go and check them out, basically. And if you check it out, I get a kickback, and everyone's happy, basically. So if you buy one, I then get the kickback. It's just another way of monetizing a video beyond AdSense if the video isn't sponsored. So in that case, Hinomi will not have paid me a fee up front to mention them. I'm just using the fact that I have an affiliate deal with them for clicks, basically, to get the affiliate commission through. So does that make sense, Vincent? It's something that I started doing, I think it was last year, when I realised that I had videos that weren't sponsored and I wasn't doing enough to monetize them. I recommend it. If you're getting into YouTube, it's worth doing. Particularly if you're getting into YouTube and you don't have any sponsored videos, but you've signed up to Amazon affiliates, or you've managed to strike a deal with a brand that's offered you. They don't have the budget for a traditional integration, but they say what we can do is send you the product and give you an affiliate code, and you can if you sell these for us, we'll give you a commission. I'd do that, but you don't. In that case, you don't have to say it's sponsored, because it's not sponsored. You haven't been paid for that. You'll only get paid if people click through. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if not. Tony, hello Tony. Hi Mark, what is the future of the Solo Club? I think you mentioned something in one of your videos a while back. Yeah, another good question. So Solo Club is the brand that kind of sits above this part of my business. So my business is split into two very distinct areas now. So we have the review side of it, which is Mark Ellis Reviews, and we have what we call in the creator side of it, which is this. It's me giving a much bigger insight into what I do and helping people follow in my footsteps, basically. And that is through things like this, these live streams, but also ebooks that you can buy, the Creator Academy, which you can still sign up to, link below. And yeah, digital products that are designed to help people become creators, basically. So I've got these two very distinct areas, and I used Solo Club as the brand name for this one, for the creator thing. It will stay in place. It will remain as Solo Club, but we're changing a little bit the way that the content is working out. So this YouTube channel, I think it is still called Solo Club by Mark Ellis, but it will probably change that just to be Mark Ellis. The Instagram account for this part of the brand is now just called Mark Ellis Creator rather than Solo Club, just because we've been trying to think about how best to build the audience for this part of my business, because it's completely separate to tech. You know, I want people following this part of the business who maybe don't have any interest in tech whatsoever, but they love the idea of content creation and either turning it into a full-time thing or just a side project or whatever. We think the best way to do that is to just be me, and me be me, showing what I do each day. So I've been doing, like, if you've been following me on if you've been following the Mark Ellis Creator Instagram account, you'll have noticed that over the last couple of weeks I've been doing a lot more reels, which are just me filming myself doing things and talking about what I'm doing and all that sort of stuff. So again, I hope that makes sense. We're still tweaking this, and the reason we are tweaking it is because, to be completely blunt, this part of the business makes no money whatsoever. It's a complete loss leader. So those two areas, the reviews, that's what feeds everything. That is basically, this is funding this big time. That can only go on for a certain amount of time before this needs to start making money. It is bringing in revenue. We've sold Academy places, we've sold the recent ebook that I've launched, but it's not covering the cost at all. It's definitely making a loss. So the idea is to get this making a profit, basically. If it doesn't make a profit, I have to make a very difficult decision, but I don't have any intention of getting to that point, because I love doing this. I love sharing what I'm doing, but equally I've been in business long enough to know that you do have to start turning a profit at some stage, but we think we will. I think in fact I know we will. It's just how long it's going to take to get there. But you guys getting involved is what keeps me going. This live stream every week keeps me going and reminds me, along with the Academy, that and actually the SUBSTACK newsletter list, which has been growing nicely, it just reminds me that there is an audience there. It's just how we monetize it and do all that sort of stuff. Oh, this is sad. The fun fair was destroyed by a fire in the late 60s. Oh. Again, if you've just joined us, Dave is referring to the fun fair that used to be at Battersea Power Station. Yes, it's been another very random live stream. Vincent, got it. So that's your own initiative, basically, not directly called for. So yeah, going back to the whole, this video, my partners are funding it thing. So going back to that example actually of Hinomi, they will not have asked for that video to be made for them. I've just decided to make a note of the fact that I work with them because I've got an affiliate partnership. And like I say, everyone wins. If it works, if I get it right, if I get that read right and people click through and they buy it and they get a chair that they love, everyone wins because they've got the chair they love, Hinomi have made a sale, and I get the kickback. So it's happy days. Happy days. Don't have any weird questions, but just want to say I love your videos, mate. Oh, that's very kind. What a lovely thing to say on a Friday. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. I don't think I've seen. I won't. Mercurial Me, is that the name? I haven't seen you on here before. Apologies if you have been here before, but thank you for joining us. Any other questions, guys? Have I missed any other questions up here? I don't think so. Any questions in terms of the whole brand thing? I can talk about it to a certain degree. There's certain things I can't mention because I've signed contracts and things. It's nothing suspicious. It's just you have to be very careful about how much of the events I kind of talk about, because some of it is under embargo and it's stuff they want to keep in house. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about how these events work out, particularly like the Apple thing and the stuff where we go abroad and we end up in nice countries and stuff. Any questions on that? I'd have loads of questions on that. I don't know all the answers, but I know some of them now. Hit me with your questions if you've got any. If not, then it's no big deal. We are getting towards the end of the day in the UK, and I definitely need a beer after this week. Not yet, because it's 20 to 5, but you get the idea. David, have you considered writing articles about your work for tech magazines? Not really. I suppose I might have to throw that back at you, David. Do you mean as a guest writer, columnist, that kind of thing? Possibly. I did a bit of that for Apple Insider ages ago. Not long after I'd started, actually. I got quite friendly with the guy that runs it, and I did a little bit of work for them. Did a couple of videos for them, which I think are still on their channel. Don't go and look for them. But I did some writing for them as well. I did a few articles for Apple Insider. If that's what you mean. Possibly. I mean, time is a problem at the moment. I think anything like that, I have to ask a very honest question, which is, does it benefit the brand? Does it bring people into my world? If it does, it's worth doing. If I'm just helping the tech magazine with their audience and it's not really doing much for my brand, it's not really worth it, to be completely blunt. But it is worth it if it brings people across to me, and equally if it helps with the whole, I hate this phrase, but you have to use it, key person of influence thing. It's me in more places, I suppose. So yeah, I'd always think about it. Paul, I've only been to one event. I think I know which one you mean, Paul, which I couldn't make. Was it the Paris one? If it was, I'd missed that, unfortunately. Fully funded, etc., but came out of my pocket first. Oh, interesting. So I won't mention the brand in that case. So it was fully funded, but came out of your... So you had to pay to get there. Is that right? I don't know if you want to clarify that, Paul. If you just clarify what you mean by that. Did you pay for the ticket and everything, and then they reimbursed you? Is that how it worked? Yes, Mac Format Magazine has featured these people. Yeah. If Mac Format Magazine want to hire me to do something, I'd think about it, basically. It was indeed me and Patrick on a lovely sunset cruise. Yeah, I couldn't. I was invited to that and I couldn't go, which was really annoying. Going back to your question though, Paul, if they did indeed expect you to pay for it and then reimburse you, that isn't standard practice in my experience. I have never had to do that. I've done a lot of these trips now. And no, I mean, this week was a bit different. So all of those trips, I had to make my own way there. I didn't get my train fare paid by LG. They didn't pay for my hotel that evening. Apple didn't pay for anything, obviously, either. I had to get them on my own accord, quite rightly. BMW yesterday, I had to get there. Niall had to get there. We weren't paid to do that at all. So that's different. But in terms of when you go away, because I know what you're referring to, when you're taken to a brand event, particularly in another country, I don't think you should have to. If it's being paid for, I think from a cash flow perspective, I think that that shouldn't hit your cash flow at any point, really. I think that should just be covered. There you go. Paid travel, food, all of it, and then I put receipts in, and they reimburse 6 weeks. 6 weeks later. Interesting. I've never had to do that, Paul. So, I'm not saying it's wrong. I've just never had to do that. I have a question with the Creator Academy. How many sessions can you have before you decide you want a refund? There's no limit on that at all. The refund is there. So even if you had... That's a very good question. Maybe we should have thought about that, but we don't want to make it... I think with the refund thing, it's there because we want to show that we're confident that the Academy is really good value. But that said, if you get to the end of it, or if you get 3 lessons in and you think... hasn't quite worked, you get your money back. Literally no questions asked. It's a bit like Apple's 14-day return policy. No questions asked. If you don't want that thing after 13 days, send it back. We don't have a day limit on this. I mean, if you contacted me in 3 years' time and said, "Mark, can I have the money back for that?" Okay, you're probably not going to get that. It's a bit of give and take on both sides. But equally, if you want your money back, you get it back. No questions asked. One thing we have discovered with this, and this is kind of a behind-the-scenes type thing, we did find that we had a couple of people sign up to the academy who then fairly quickly afterwards told us that their situation had changed and they wanted the money back. And I can't blame them for that. People's situations do change. That's hopefully they weren't terrible. We didn't know what those situations were, obviously, and I hope they weren't terrible, but they wanted the money back. And so it's a bit of a risk, this, because it hits cash flow and that sort of thing. You think you've sold a place and then you haven't even started yet, and then they want the money back. So that was a bit of an issue. But no, there's no hard and fast rule with it, basically. But the point being, I don't think you'll want your money back. That's how confident we are. Oh, not that one. Did they keep Battersea just because of the iconic Animals image? So again, that's the Pink Floyd Animals album cover. I bet it was quite a project to reimagine that structure. Yeah, it must have been. I know. I think everything was. You can tell actually. I think everything's been redone. I think some of it was partly rebuilt. I think some of the external structure had to be rebuilt. I've heard that the towers they had to clean or something. They had to clean them inside and do something clever with them. But yeah, huge project, and it's really worth going to. Really is. It's a very impressive place. I could talk about that place for a long time, but I won't. I'll bore you to death. Any other questions, guys, before we wrap up? You've got me thinking, Paul, about that thing where you've had to pay out. I know the brand, and it's a shame they made you do that, but interesting. What is interesting, actually, again, I've got to be careful what I say about this, but the with brands, so we have a little group. There's lots of these groups you start to learn, but we've got a little group on WhatsApp of creators, and there's quite a few of us in there now, and we discuss sponsorships and our experiences with brands. I think I've talked about this before on this live stream, and there's quite a few of us in there. And like I say, we do share bad experiences with each other when it comes to brands, and we're having to make it clear to a lot of these brands who either. A great example of this is if they kind of, we call it lowballing, where they lowball an offer for an integration or a paid video to a point where it's insulting in terms of what they're offering to give you in exchange for your time and access to your audience. We're starting to explain to these brands that we all talk, we do share the stuff that we can share that isn't under embargo or NDA or any kind of contract. We talk, we're mates, and the reason we do this is because we want creators to be properly valued, and it's that whole thing about rising tides float all boats, all that sort of stuff. The more creators know their worth, and the more that brands know the worth of creators, because it takes a long time to build an audience. I tweeted this out the other day that to get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube without purchasing subscribers, which also happens, to do it properly, legitimately, is a really hard job. It's a really, really, really tough slog. And getting access to that audience as a brand, if you want to put your product in front of that audience, which is one of the best ways of advertising, by the way, you've got to pay properly for it. You've got to respect that the time and the effort that's put into building that audience, and that person's influence, and the fact that audience trusts that person. I've gone slightly off topic. I can't remember. I've lost my train of thought. But but yeah, coming back to the whole brand thing. That's a very important thing to bear in mind. We're all in this together with this sort of stuff. Johan, he's referring to the, I didn't put this up on purpose, but Johan's referring to the academy. You won't want your money back. I've already had value for money and only 5 weeks in. That's lovely to hear. I'm really glad of that. The academy is brand new, and you've probably noticed this, Johan, we are producing the videos each week. I did this intentionally. I didn't want to sit there for a month in November and film them all in one go, because it would have been horrendous. And also it would have been out of date fairly quickly. So we're doing this each week, and yeah, I'm really enjoying filming the modules. Actually, the last one that I did, which was all about YouTube, that if you've seen it, Johan, I guess you probably have. I included something in that module which I've never shown before, which is a completely raw, rough take of A-roll. So it's me basically, like I say, the thing that you never see, which is me sitting here waffling on, but it's the unedited version of it. So yeah, Johan will have got to see how bad that is at times, because I think it's a very important thing to be aware of if you want to start doing this. You know me and that brand, so many videos with them, and didn't want to miss it. Yeah, I'm sure it was a good event, Paul. I'm surprised they got you to pay for it and then reimburse you. It's a bit strange. That's what I love about you, Alex and Patrick. You guys are probably paving the way for us by having your say about this stuff. We're not martyrs with this at all, and we don't always know what we're doing. We're still relatively wet behind the ears. You know, most of us in that group have been doing this for about 4 years maximum. So we're still paving our own way, really. But I think what's nice about this group is that, as I mentioned earlier, actually, I kind of alluded to earlier, we've all got a bit of experience. We've all come from running businesses, and in certain people's case, so Alex and Patrick are great examples of this. They still run their other businesses. I stopped doing that back in 2022. They, bless them, they're still doing that work outside of YouTube, alongside YouTube. I don't know how they do it, but they're doing it. But we've all of us in that group. Pete Matheson's in there as well. We've all come from business backgrounds, so we've got something up here. We know what's going on, and equally we know about how you exchange the exchange of value. We know what things should cost, and how important it is to value yourself properly and deliver a great product and all the rest of it. But we, like I say, we've been around a bit, so we've experienced a lot in business. And I think what's happening, and what we think is happening. Again, we don't have proof of this at all, but I think it's a safe bet, which is that a lot of younger creators, and perhaps creators who don't have the experience that we have in business and possibly in life, I don't know if that's fair to say, but I think it's probably the case, are coming into this industry and they're getting brand opportunities and they're just saying yes to them without any thought of, is that worth my time? Does that stack up to my hourly rate? Will that make this video profitable? Is it a fair exchange of value for access to my audience and my expertise, my skills? Possibly not. And I always think about this, I could go on and on about this, but I used to work in marketing and I just missed the influencer marketing thing. So I missed being able to work with people like myself, but I would have given my left arm for that. Because if you're selling a product, let's say I'm selling this phone. I've just developed this phone. We want to get it out into the market. I've got two options. I can either set up a pay-per-view, a pay-per-click campaign on, let's say, Facebook. Or a better example, I can set up a PPC campaign on Google. I can set targeting for it. I can plow a massive budget into it. I can hit go, and then I can just do that and hope I get some sales. Or I can spend a quarter of that massive budget on an influencer / creator, reviewer, whoever, to plug this for 90 seconds at the start of a video and put it in front of an audience they've built. I've not had to build it. It's an audience that is already targeted. It's done. I haven't got to worry. I haven't got to click any tick boxes. It's done. And they're making the video for me. All I've got to do is send them this thing and then say, off you go. Here's the reviewer's guide. Here's the whatever. Here's the things we want you to mention in terms of the specs and stuff. Off you go. There's the link they can click once they want to buy it. And you get this really high quality video of your product created. And again, if you decide to pay for the rights to use that, you can then take it and do stuff with it yourself. Which one are you going to pick out of those two? I wish when I was working in marketing that I had access to this thing back then. I didn't. I just missed it. This was back in, when I stopped doing that sort of stuff, it was probably back in 2016, 17, when influencer marketing was just starting to ramp up. But it should cost it. Brands should pay for this stuff. But like I say, yeah, going back to this, what Paul's saying here, we're genuinely, obviously we're doing this for ourselves, obviously, but we genuinely hope that what we're doing is going to lift up everything for everyone else. Really, it's certainly new creators. And just very quickly, a very good example of this is that we're currently renegotiating rates with existing sponsors for Mark Ellis reviews, and we're having a very good time doing it. The brands seem to be very responsive to this. Not all of them, but most seem to be responsive to it, and that's really good news for the industry, I think. So again, I'm not a martyr about this, but that's me on my soapbox for a minute, because this is important stuff. But yeah, hopefully it's gonna help. What's this? Johan, what are you saying? Even today I had to capture B-roll of a meeting and realised at the end I hadn't pressed record. Oh no! So I had to get the meeting... Oh, here we go. I think you might have missed something off. Oh, but I've got the picture. Oh, horrible. That happened to me once. The only time I've ever done this. Touch wood, it won't happen again. I finished doing. This was ages ago. I finished doing an entire A-roll shoot. It was actually in the old studio at home. Finished it and it went really well. I thought that was great. Stopped record on the camera, looked at the audio recorder, because back then I was recording audio separately, which is not a good idea, by the way, and it hadn't started. I think the memory card had failed or something, and it was like, had to do the whole thing again. It was really horrible. Yeah, always hit record. It's easier said than done, unbelievably. I don't want to go fully into the conversation. Oh, what's this? Fully into it, but the conversation I had yesterday, I fully believe these guys buy views, etc., will create another wave with these brands and that they feel they've been duped. Yeah, this is a completely separate topic that Paul's referring to here. And my tweet yesterday, was it today, whenever I posted it, was referring to this actually, because there was again, I won't mention who it is, but someone publicly celebrated hitting 100,000 subscribers on YouTube recently. I won't say who that person is. Again, no evidence for this whatsoever, but there's strong suspicion that a lot of those subscribers arrived very quickly and in a manner that didn't look that natural, if you catch my drift. And when you do what I've done and do what Patrick's done and Pete and all these people who have gone past that 100,000 mark, and you know what's involved in doing that. It took me 3 years to get to that stage, many ups and downs along the way, and the most hard work I've put into anything in my entire life. When you know what's involved, and then potentially there's people out there cheating their way to it because they want to get better brand deals or whatever it might be, and then publicly celebrating about it, even though it possibly wasn't gained in the way we've gained those subscribers. It's really annoying. I have to be careful not to use any naughty language here, but really annoying. And the whole buying views thing, this is probably another live stream. I might do this next week. I'll see how it goes. And again, you have to be very careful with this because there's no proof of this. That there are tools that you can use to check or to monitor YouTube channels and see their growth. It's all above board. You're not doing anything. There's no malicious intent here at all. It's all publicly available information, and you can look at the way things have grown. And also, you can look. One thing to look out for. I'll leave you with this. Actually, we will talk about this in more detail at some stage. One thing to look out for with this: if you notice a channel with, let's say, 500,000 subscribers, a really big channel, and they publish this person publishes a video and it gets, within 2 or 3 days, it gets 250,000 views. On the face of it, that makes sense. They've got a big channel, it might be a big topic, whatever it might be. If you then look at the comments, and there's 40 comments, something's not right there. That's all I'll say, and I think that it might change the way you look at certain YouTube channels. It's changed the way that I look at certain YouTube channels, but generally speaking, if you've got a video that's done 250k in terms of views, you'll have more than 40 comments. You just do. There's no two ways about it. It's very rare that I get videos that big, but if you look at my videos that do a lot less than that, for instance, let's just do it very quickly here. You've really got me on one now, haven't you? I love this stuff though. It's really good to talk about. So yesterday's video, which is the M3 MacBook Air one, 34,000 views, and it's had 136 comments. That feels right to me. It's had 1.1 thousand likes. Again, if we look at the one before that, which was the M1 MacBook Air, that has done. Why can't I see the comments on this one? It doesn't tell me the comments on there for some reason. It's about the same, basically. But those numbers stack up, really. Yeah, 250,000 views, 40 comments. It suggests that potentially that some of the people that have watched that video aren't capable of commenting because they may not be real people. Imagine that. Yeah. I might stop talking now. Hi, Alan. Nice of you to join us. We're nearly finished. Don't apologise, Paul. No, I do like talking about this stuff, and we're talking about this a lot behind the scenes at the moment. The other problem with it, I have to stop now. I'll say it. The other problem with this is that those inflated views, which are potentially inflated, no proof, but potentially might be possibly inflated artificially, maybe. You could argue that again, don't know if this is the case, but you could argue that those people are doing that because they want to get better brand deals, and they can go to these brands and say, look, my last 3 videos have done collectively 1.5 million views. Awesome. Pay me whatever for your next integration. And brands that perhaps aren't looking at them in that detail might just look and think, oh, yeah, that guy's right. Here you go. That's not right, is it? Because if you're that brand and you're potentially starting to work with a YouTuber who maybe doesn't have legitimate views on their channel, what use is that to you as a brand? Do you want real people to view your product, or not real people? You know what I'm getting at here, don't you? Again, it's all conjecture. I have no proof of any of this at all. I'm not mentioning anyone. You can do your own research, but there's a lot of talk about it on the social media channels. I'll let someone else say something quickly on this. Winds me up too. I've been at this 9 years, a lot longer than me, working my backside off, and for people to do this grinds my gears. Couldn't agree more, Paul. You've been doing it for a lot longer than me, and I can imagine how you feel with that, because I know that you put a lot of hard work into this, and yeah, it's frustrating. But I think the key thing with it, though, because like I say, we don't know this is happening for definite, and I think the best thing with this sort of stuff is to not get too obsessed with it. Fight the fight, in terms of educating brands on this stuff, but just get your head down, do your own thing, put your own videos out, build your channel ethically and in a way that respects the audience that you've brought on, and don't let others do what they're doing. Let them crack on with that. If that's their business strategy, it wouldn't be mine in a million years, but if that's theirs, fine. Let them they're not doing anything illegal. You can do the stuff they're doing, but let them crack on with it. This is a good question. So a live stream's back to Fridays now, kind of, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm sorry. What I'm going to do now basically is not commit to a certain day. It will either be Thursday or Friday. I know people like a bit, and quite rightly, understandably, want a bit of predictability with these things, but it's quite tricky at the moment because my weeks are so crazy. But Thursday or Friday, basically. Right, guys. Excuse me. I've got to go home. And I will have a beer because it's been one of those a great week, fantastic week, but I do need to go and have a beer. Thanks, guys, for getting involved in this. There's so much to talk about, and that thing that we've just talked about, we might dig into more. Have to be so careful with that topic for obvious reasons, but yeah, we might dig into it maybe in a future live stream. If you've watched this in the future as well, if you're watching this sometime in the future, hello, thank you for doing that. If you fancy subscribing and giving this a like, it massively helps this channel, because we do want to grow this channel. It's proving quite tricky because I'm not being consistent with regular normal videos, but I will be trying to do more stuff on that. Anyway, rambling. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us live, guys. There have been loads of people on today, loads of brilliant questions as always. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your weekends. Yes, I'll have 2 beers, Alan, and I'll catch you next week. Cheers.